Alright, so the moment that you guys have been waiting for, what is the difference between the Trailcat SL and the Mach 4SL, and who is each of these bikes for? What's up you guys, Mo Awesome from Awesome MTV. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another bike breakdown video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the differences between the Pivot Cycles Mach 4SL and the Pivot Cycles Trailcat SL. I've spent a lot of time on both of these bikes, and even though they are so similar to each other on paper, they're actually pretty different. I feel like their personalities are going to suit different riders. So in today's video, we're going to be going over those differences, what I have experienced, and who I think each of these bikes is for. Once again, you guys, if you guys look at the bikes on paper, they both have 120 mils of travel. The geo are very close to each other, but like I said, when you take them out on the trail, they're very distinctively different, and I do think they are intended for two different types of riders out there. So really quickly, let's go over what each of the bikes are. Now, this is going to be the Pivot Cycles Mach 4SL that was released this year. It's going to be the updated version, so a little bit more of an aggressive geo over the previous version. We have 120 millimeters of travel up front, 120 millimeters of travel in the rear, or 110 via an adjustment via a flip chip. It's not actually going to change the geo, just the travel in the rear. This right here is going to be their team build. So up front, we have the Fox 34 SL, once again with 120 mils of travel. In the rear, we have a Fox Float SL rear shock. For the drivetrain, we have a SRAM XX transmission drivetrain. Up front, we have a Pivot Cycles carbon handlebars as well as Pivot Cycles stem. I went ahead and went with the new Ergon grips on there in the blue color, awesome in the medium width. For stopping power, we have the SRAM Motive Ultimates with the carbon brake levers. For dropper post, we have a Reverb AXS dropper post with a carbon rail WTB saddle. For wheels and tires, we have a Reynolds Carbon XC wheel set with Industry 9 hubs and a Maxxis Recon front and rear. Now, we did release a long-term review of the Pivot Trailcat SL in the previous video, so be sure to check that out. But really quickly, the Trailcat SL has 120 mils of travel up front, but it has 140 millimeters of travel up front. Trailcat SL is going to be their Pro XT Di2 build, so we have a Fox 36 SL up front with 140 millimeters of travel, and in the rear we have a Fox Float SL, once again 120 mils of travel. For the drivetrain, we have a Shimano XT Di2 wireless system. Up front, we have a Pivot Cycles cockpit with a carbon handlebar, alloy stem, and grips, all made by Pivot Cycles. Stopping power, we have the brand new Shimano XT4 pistons. For the dropper post, we have a Fox transfer dropper post with a WTB saddle. And for wheels and tires, we have a DT Swiss 1700 wheel set with a Minion up front and a dissector in the rear. Once again, you guys, these bikes are very similar on paper. They both have 120 millimeters of travel. They both have somewhat similar geos. The geos are so close on paper, but they're still distinctively different. When you take them out on the trails, I feel like those differences become much more apparent. Now, the first difference you're going to feel in both of these bikes is going to be the actual frame itself, the ride quality out on the trails. I would say the Mach 4SL, when you're out on the trails, especially on the descents, you can definitely tell the frame has a stiffer profile over the Trailcat SL. You definitely feel that stiffness in the chunk. It just feels like it has a little less compliance than the Trailcat SL. Obviously, this is intended to be a little bit more of an XC race bike, so that stiffness makes so much sense. But when you get into the chunk, I would say on the Mach 4SL, like I said, you definitely feel like it has a much stiffer frame. It also feels like it has a lighter frame overall. And I feel like that's going to be fairly obvious. I feel like the intention with the Trailcat SL was to be a little bit more of an enduro style bike, just in a short travel chassis. I would say I feel like the Trailcat SL, like I said, has a little bit more give than the Mach 4SL and a little bit more confidence in its frame to go over big chunkier trails. Now, the Mach 4SL still feels very capable. You're still able to ride the tech chunk, but like I said, it has a stiffer ride feel over the Trailcat SL. Once again, those differences there, I would say the Trailcat SL has a little bit more of a let's have fun frame, where the Mach 4SL has a let's go race our bike frame. If you guys, hopefully you're enjoying today's video, just want to take a quick second and thank today's video sponsor, and that is Jensen USA. Jensen USA is one of the largest online bike shops out there, and they are incredible. They have so many bikes and parts in stock ready to ship to you with same-day shipping. Their prices are incredible, and their customer service is second to none. They are rider-owned and have been around for 30 years, so they know how important it is to not only get the best deals, but also keep the time off the bike to a minimum. So like I said, they offer same-day shipping, and their customer service is backed by gear advisors to help make picking the right item or bike out very simple. And like I said, the prices are insane. Some of the best best deals in the industry, and they also have a really rad Corona store location. In that Corona store location, there are so many insane deals on bikes going on right now, and it's super cool to also have a physical location to complement their awesome website. I know some people are a little bit more comfortable checking out bikes in person. Like I said, we really can't say enough amazing things about Jensen USA. Not only are they one of the largest online bike shops out there, their customer service is absolutely insane, and they also have some of the best prices in the game. Huge thank you, Jensen USA, for sponsoring this video. We're gonna go ahead and link some of our favorite products on their website in the description of this video. Thank you, Jensen USA, and let's get back into the review. Sticking with the downhills, the next difference you're gonna feel on the descents is gonna be in terms of geo. Definitely feel the Trailcat SL has a little bit more of a confident geo on the descents. Obviously, on paper, it's a little bit more aggressive. You have that 140 mil travel up front. You have a little bit of a slacker head angle. On top of it, you have slightly longer chainstays. And overall, I would say when you are in the chunk, it feels like that Trailcat SL feels a little bit more at home. With the Mach 4SL, it's very capable, especially for it being an XC race bike. But at the end of the day, it still feels very XC-ish on the descents. Like I said, those geo numbers are playing a big difference here. If you look at the stack height as well as the head angles, I feel like those are gonna be the biggest differences. So the Trailcat SL, a little taller stack height, definitely slacker head angle, and it just feels a little bit more stable when things get steep and slow. The Mach 4SL, a little bit of a lower stack height, slightly steeper head angle, and I would say a much more responsive front end. So when you're out on the trails and you're kind of doing fast moves on descents, or you're really trying to put the pace down, I would say you're gonna have a much more reactive bike with the Mach 4SL. The Trailcat SL, you're gonna have a much more confident feeling to the descents, even though they both have 120 millimeters of travel in the rear. Now, further sticking with the descents, the next difference is gonna be the actual travel itself. So both bikes have 120 millimeters of travel, but I do feel like the Trailcat SL has a little bit more of a controlled travel aspect to it. It feels like when you get out on the trails, like I said, it just kind of feels like it's an enduro bike just in a short travel body. And oftentimes I almost felt like it had more than 120 mils of travel out on the trails. The Mach 4SL, it just kind of feels like it has a little bit more of a ram towards the end stroke of travel, and it kind of gives it that good pop in and out of corners, and especially when you put the power down. Yeah, I would say the Mach 4SL has much more pep in its step over the Trailcat SL, but that Trailcat SL I feel like has a little bit more of a controlled 120 mil of travel over the Mach 4SL, if that makes sense. Moving on to climbing, let's talk seat angles. So if you look at the Mach 4SL, definitely has a slacker seat angle than Trailcat SL. I would say the Mach 4SL, that seat angle, relatively on the slacker side, even comparing it to other XC bikes on the market. Now, I will say with slack seat angles in XC, it actually kind of makes sense. I feel like when I do put the power down on XC bikes, I just feel like the slacker seat angle almost feels like I have a more efficient power output out on the trails. When it comes time for steep, long climbs, I do prefer the steeper seat angle on the Trailcat SL, and that is something to consider. Trailcat SL definitely has a steeper seat angle, and I would say for riders that have long, steep fire road climbs, I want to consider that Trailcat SL because the seated pedaling position on more extended fire road climbs is going to feel a little bit more at home on that Trailcat. Now with the Mach 4SL, if you live somewhere chunky where your climbs aren't very prolonged, they're much more kind of undulating or they're more abrupt, steep ups, I would actually say the slacker seat angle found on the Mach 4SL is going to feel a little bit more at home, as well as XC racing. It's so weird with the Mach 4SL because I feel like when I'm just kind of cruising, I'm not really putting the power down, I could definitely notice the slack seat angle. However, when I start to put the power down, it almost feels like that seat angle starts to become perfect on the Mach 4SL. It's very weird. Like I said, when you put the power down, you push the Mach 4SL, it feels at home, where the Trailcat SL feels more at home for everyday trail rides, especially if you have long fire roads in your backyard. Now, in terms of pedaling, when you get out of the saddle, I would actually say both these bikes have a very good pep in their step. That's something that Pivot Cycles has always been known for. They make amazing climbing bikes, and both these bikes, especially when you get out of the saddle, you put that power down, they feel like they come alive very well. We'll say that Mach 4SL definitely has a very good snappiness to it, especially when you're kind of putting that power down out of the saddle. I would say the Mach 4SL has the slight edge, but both bikes do very well pedaling. All right, so the moment that you guys have been waiting for, who is each of these bikes for? Like I mentioned, on paper, these are so close to each other. Both have 120 millimeters of travel. The geo are somewhat close on paper, but that's the thing with geo. Slight tweaks in geo play such a crucial element to the bike's personality. I would say if you're getting out there, you want to put the power down, you definitely see some XC racing in your future, and you just want a very capable XC bike. You still want to put the power down, you want that race pace. The Mach 4SL is such a capable technical XC bike. It does so well in the chunk, especially for it being an XC bike. And overall, it still has the heart of an XC bike. It can just handle technical style downhills. Now, if you see yourself a little bit more of an enduro rider, you just want a shorter travel package, but you want that XC efficiency, the Trailcat SL, like I said, pretty mind-blowing how efficient that bike is, especially when you get out of the saddle, you put the power down. insane pep in its step, but overall it still has the heart of an enduro bike. The frame has a little bit more compliance, the travel feels a little bit plusher than the Mach 4SL, and overall when you take it out on the trails, you can tell it's still an enduro bike, but it's just kind of in a short travel package. And as with anything, you have to be honest with yourself. What type of rider are you and what are you intending to do with the bike? I would say if you plan on getting to the trailhead and just putting the power down and just really sprinting, you are going to appreciate the efficiency of the Mach 4SL and still have the ability to ride tech trails. Say if you're going to be heading to the trails, you're not sure what type of trails you're going to be riding, you know you want to ride some aggressive stuff, you want an enduro bike capableness wise, but at the same time you like shorter travel platforms. That Trailcat SL, like I said, very poppy, very playful, feels like a short travel bike, but in its DNA, I feel like you feel the enduro element to it. Can you put a Fox 36SL on a Mach 4SL and basically get a Trailcat SL? I still don't think so. I'm gonna do it. I actually have a 36SL that came in for testing. However, here are a few concerns for me. The first thing is gonna be bumping up the travel. I feel like the Mach 4SL, the seat angle is already on the slacker side. Going up to a 130 would actually slacken the seat angle a little bit further. So I feel like that would be one trade-off there. But on top of that, the frame profile of the Trailcat SL, like I said, it feels like it has a little bit more give than the Mach 4SL. That Mach 4SL, it just has XC stiffness and XC efficiency, where that Trailcat SL, like I said, heart of an enduro bike. And overall, I just feel like the Trailcat SL still wants to be an enduro bike, but like I said, short travel package, and that Mach 4SL wants to be a very capable XC bike. You know, that's the cool thing with Pivot Cycles lineup. I feel like they have so many bikes in their lineup, they really want to kind of touch on each category. And I feel like whether you're an XC rider or a trail rider, an enduro or DH rider, they have a bike for you. If you guys have any questions about the Mach 4SL or the Trailcat SL, definitely let me know in the comment section and consider subscribing, because like I said, I have that XC test as well as a few other tests coming at you guys soon. What do you guys think? Would you go Trailcat SL, Mach 4SL? Let me know in the comment section. Until next time, you guys, ride awesome.